Welcome back, everyone, to our Access Participant Spotlight segments, where we highlight the different career journeys of our amazing Access leaders. It's a privilege to be here with you all today in this amazing platform. My name is Fabio Yataco, and I am a steering committee member for the Access Professional Leadership Program. And today I have the honor to facilitate today's discussion with Marcos Navarro Garcia. Marcos, bienvenido. We're excited to have you on today's segment and learn more about how you've managed and navigated your life as a student at Butler University, especially since you will be graduating soon, class of 2022, right? So, Marcos, again, bienvenido. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this. I liked watching these whenever I had time, so it's just exciting to be on the other side. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. So, Marcos, we're going to dive right into it, bro. Para empezar, can you tell us a little bit about yourself so the audience gets to know you a little bit better, where you attended high school, just a little bit about your background, where you currently attend, and what you're majoring in?
Yeah, of course. So hi, everyone. Marcos Navarro Garcia. So, like I said, I'm a senior at Butler University. So I'll be finishing up here in May with bachelor's degrees in critical communication and media studies and in Spanish. Thankfully, I also have minors. So one in creative media and entertainment, and then one in strategic communications. So if we're going to take it back, I was born in Tlaltenango, Zacatecas, Mexico. But my family, that was just where I was born. My family and I lived in Colotlan, Jalisco, Mexico, until I was about 2 years old. And then we made our way up here to the US, and I grew up in Lafayette, Indiana. So just an hour north here of Indy. So definitely not too far. I graduated from McCutcheon High School in 2018. And then right after that, I started my journey here at Butler. And I'm about to finish it up. So it's surreal, it's here, but it's definitely time, definitely ready for the next step.
Yes, it is an interesting time. It's definitely an interesting time for all of us when we're about to graduate college. It's definitely different than when you're about to graduate high school, but there are some similarities, right? Of like trying to figure out what that next step is. So we'll be diving into that a little bit here in a couple of minutes with the questions. But first, as the audience has heard, you are part of the Access Leadership Program. So tell us a little bit about, why you decided to apply and what has been one of your biggest takeaways so far.
I think number one is definitely the community / network, because I think it is definitely both. There is definitely a network of really impressive alumni, but it's also a community. I know my cohort is definitely, and that is definitely the number one thing I was seeking out, especially as I, kind of weigh whether Indy is the place for me for the next few years as I graduate. I wanted to at least have experienced a program like Access, have, further built my network, but also filled it with people who share similar cultures and people who maybe speak Spanish, or just people who I can relate to on that additional level. Just because, I don't know where I'll end up, right? And there's not a guarantee that the workplace is going to have a lot of other people that look like me, or even if they do, there's no guarantee we'll be in the same office and interact daily, right? So I definitely am seeking out that community. And I've definitely found that here at Access. And I think number two, definitely, I think I'm a very go person, always on the move, always moving. And, with that, you can relate to this, I've known you, right? You need to take time to stop and reflect. And I think for me, that's definitely what I need this would be. It would be a set aside monthly time for me to stop, reflect on my professional and personal journeys, learn how to articulate those better, learn how to put those on paper, learn how to speak about them better. I think practice truly does make perfect. Without practice, you can only get so lucky, right? And so this has definitely been great for me. My biggest takeaway so far have definitely been just professional reflection and just reflecting on my professional journey, my professional goals, my professional, and just like the career that I'm about to start. I'm about to graduate, and so I'm weighing some options at the moment, exploring different avenues. And that's very exciting, but it can be very overwhelming. So I think Access has helped me kind of keep myself in check, keep my mind calm as I navigate that journey.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's awesome. I think it's going to be a beautiful time when you graduate, really reflect on how you've developed, how you've grown, and then how, where you will eventually go. So obviously cheering you on from the stands here, man, and wishing you the best. But so kind of take us back to freshman year. There was senior year Marcos, right? About to enter college, I'm sure with a lot of different anticipations and expectations. what were some of the top college expectations that you found to be different though? That kind of challenged you in a different way that you expected that, it would have gone a certain way, but you realized that it was different. Just so, any high school seniors listening could get a really feel for what they should expect, but what will ultimately be different.
Yeah. I would say this is going to sound really weird. I kind of had like made peace with the possibility of like not making many friends for whatever reason. That's kind of what was going on in 18-year-old like me's head. I know at the time I had to work a lot outside of school just to afford the different expenses that I had incurred. So that is definitely something that I remember coming in. I kind of didn't really see another way. I kind of saw like that was the only path for me in my head was like go to school full time, work almost full time as well, just to make ends meet. And thankfully along the way, I've stumbled onto opportunities that 18-year-old me didn't even know were possible. I've been able to find new sources of income. I've been able to really find ways to, find jobs, find internships and fellowships that I'm passionate about and that pay me and that contribute to my education. I think a lot of students, especially who work in addition to going to school, know that a lot of times that even though there's a lot of value in working, it takes away from studies. It takes away from academics. It's like a whole separate life you're living, right? And so I think that for me, that was one of the biggest things is I'm very surprised, pleasantly surprised at the ways that I've been able to find balance and ways that I've been able to really build some beautiful relationships while in school.
You mentioned, really being pleasantly surprised of finding community, different sources of income, all things that are very important to succeed during college, especially as one prepares to enter that college life. So what would be some tips that you would give to some high school students at the moment? Some things that maybe some top 3 tips that you could pass on as keys to success as they enter college.
Oh, narrowing it down to 3 stuff. There's so many. There's like this book, by the way, like you can probably get it for free at your career office, by the way, when you get into college. It's like top 50 tips for college freshmen, I think. So get that one. But if I have to pick 3, I think number 1, you got to ask yourself, like, who are you? Take stock of that, take count of that, write it down or record it on like a voice memo. Ask yourself who you are. Describe yourself in your own words before you get there. Because that's going to change very, very, very quickly. At least it should to an extent, right? In a good way. I think you're going to experience a lot of growth. And the thing about growth is going to be very painful. It's going to stretch you academically, personally, socially, financially. These are all going to be things that you're going to have to learn how to navigate as you enter college. So definitely just ask yourself who you are and then be ready to accept that that's going to grow, that's going to evolve, that's going to change. Number 2, I would say go to class. Sounds simple, really, and I'll be honest too. That also kind of depends on, attendance policies, whether or not lectures are made available, virtually after the fact. But for the most part, go to class. I think it's a basic thing, but it really is the best way to stay on top of things. I would say it's really, really difficult to stay on top of a class that you don't go to because the syllabus will have most of everything, but you just never know when something else pops up, when there's an alternative assignment, or depending on your field of study, the professors, they might switch it up. Like the class might be able to negotiate some assignments out of the syllabus. And then there's a new one that you missed because you weren't in class and the class wasn't recorded and it's on online. It's a domino effect. Go to class, please go to class. And then number 3, I would definitely say yes while you can, right? Not to everything. I think that can be very unsustainable very, very quickly. But I would say yes to things that, you're comfortable in. Say yes to just going on a random adventure with someone you just met a day ago on your college campus, right? Say yes to these like spontaneous things that just happen. Be open to them and enjoy them. Be present in the moment because, look at me, it's over before you know it. I'm about to cross that stage in less than 90 days. So definitely be present in the moment, say yes. But then, when you can't say yes anymore, say no eventually. But when you first get there, just say yes. Try it out. You just never know the memories you'll make, the people you'll form relationships with, and just everything that you'll walk away with. You just never know.
Yeah, man, being present in the moment, super important. Really making sure to be intentional with your growth. So saying yes to different opportunities and different, things that you'll be able to take advantage of as a college student. And yeah, most importantly, just really being able to enjoy those moments while you can, because like you said, they literally flash before your eyes in a matter of seconds, what it feels like. So no, those are awesome. I think those are three ones. I think I really resonate with the being present in the moment, because many times it's hard when you're going 1,000 miles per hour trying to be involved and take it, also be intentional with your growth. It's just a lot. And I think a quick fact here before we move on from this question of your first recommendation going to class. I broke it down, did the math when I was in undergrad. And I think it's every time you skip class, it's like you're ripping $20 in half, and that's what IUPUI is. Like if you're going to IUPUI and like you break the math, like how much a class is, if you skip, like, you break it down, it's basically like $20, I think, per class, like a day. So it's like every day you miss, you're just throwing away $20. So if you think about it like that, because it's an investment, right? So break it down I challenge everybody to break it down. How much does it cost you to go? How much is each of your classes per day? I think that's something that kind of help motivate me, right? Because I'm not trying to waste money like that. But okay.
Yeah, I think I broke it down about, I think it's $80 per class. So that definitely, like, oof. Yeah, that whips me into shape for sure.
Literally. So man, I want to understand your journey a little bit better, right? So you're about to graduate. Obviously, it hasn't been easy. I'm sure it's had its ups and its downs. It's been a roller coaster ride. Help us understand a little bit more about your journey along the lines of, like, what have been some challenges? What have been some takeaways throughout your educational journey as a Latinx student, navigating, as also I'm assuming that you've had expectations and pressures and failures. Like, how have you navigated all of that?
Yeah. So in terms of challenges, I would say probably one of like the deeper ones and more fundamental ones definitely has to do with identity and like a sense of self, if that makes sense. So I remember, like, I was always someone who wanted to be really involved and just kind of wanted to maximize my college experience. And I did that to my own detriment, though. I think it's great to get involved. It's great to meet people. It's great to network and develop leadership skills, but to what point if you're not sleeping anymore, or to what point if your entire evening is like meetings and events. And then after that, you got to find time to do your homework for class the next day. Right. And so I think I got so wrapped up in that, so wrapped up in just getting all these additional things on my resume, on my LinkedIn. And like eventually, like, I just found like that's all I could, like, that was the only thing in my life, really. Like, that was my life. It was like all these different things that I got involved in. And so, if somebody would have asked me then, like, who are you? Like I didn't have an answer. Like, I did not have an answer. And I didn't realize that until COVID hit. So then, the university got shut down. We had to go back home and do classes virtually. But, when they shut down the university, like when they suspended in-person activity, they also just suspended student employment. They suspended student activities, both things that I, had on my plate at the time. And I just, like, for the first time, I was just like, whoa, like, I can breathe, and like I can, like, watch Netflix, like I can, like, you know what I mean? Like there's all these things that I never gave myself time to do. I just had time to, like, think, time to exist. Thankfully, I'm not a frontline healthcare worker, right? So, like, that part of that, point in time was not one where I had to be out, putting myself at risk, thankfully, right? So, yeah, for the first time I was able to think and just exist. And, like, realize that, like, if you don't know how to exist outside of these spaces, there's something wrong, because these spaces are not going to be there forever, right? You're there 4 to 6 years, however long your journey is, and then you got to move on, right? And if you were so wrapped up in that you don't know how to move on, there's a problem. So I think for me, that was one of my biggest challenges, is navigating that and finding balance so that I don't lose myself in all of this, because it went away, and you just never know. Now I know that you just never know what's going to happen, right? So it could all go away in an instant. And so you have to figure out, I had to figure out who I was when that happened. And I did. Thankfully, I think I was able to reclaim whatever, sense of self I lost and rebuild it and make it new, right? Because that sense of self that I had coming in at 18, it just wasn't there anymore. Like, whoever that guy was, he was never going to come back, because my circumstances had changed and I've gone through so many things. So I would say that I've been struggling to find balance, trying not to lose myself in all this.
It seems like you've had really good ways of supporting your process, right? Like supporting this navigation of who you are, and self-discovery. It's messy, it's brutal, but it's also very, very enlightening. So I think that's something that we, as all humans, whether you're an undergrad or grad or just in life, right? I think something we never stop really learning is self-discovery. So I appreciate your kind of being so intentionally transparent with your process. And what would you say are some of the pillars that have helped you, I guess, kind of get through that discovery stage?
I would say that sorry, let me think. I wasn't expecting that question, Fabio. I would say that number one is definitely boundaries. And just like to go along with that kind of like separation. Like, I know for me, at least, it's trying to find like a separation. Like, there's the classes I take, right? So my life as a student, there's also my life as a student leader. There's my life as a professional, right? And my role here on campus. There's also me like just out having fun. There's me going with my family, like, right? Like, I think I try to set boundaries and know that I don't, even though I am all of these things at once, like I don't have to wear all these hats actively and act as all of this at all times. It's okay to turn some things off. It's okay to clock out of work and then go, just not talk about work, not think about work, just go exist, go have fun, go do something, right? And I think for a while, I didn't know how to do that for a while. So I would say there's that. Definitely intuition and kind of like this gut feeling would be my second one. My gut feeling is what brought me here in the first place to Butler. And so that's something that I think, I've been able to trust in that. Know when things don't feel right, know when situations don't feel right, know when things, activities, friendships, roles, like jobs, whenever they don't serve me anymore, I've been able to get a good sense of that, just knowing when to step away. Yeah, I would say those are two.
Yeah, I think most importantly, I think the way you put it is really great, is just giving yourself, I think, ultimately grace throughout this whole process. That's awesome, man. Well, I think we're running short on time here, but I do want to get one more question from you, if that's okay.
Do it.
College can be a culture shock for many students, right? Especially students of color, especially if they're going to predominantly white institutions. So can you describe the importance of finding community, whether that be off campus or on campus, and why is that important for students to find?
Being the only one is very exhausting, I have to say. Constantly having to, so it's really interesting. I remember I took my second semester, I took a history class on Latin America. And I just remember I was so excited to learn about my heritage, my ancestry, just maybe political climates in Latin America that led up to my family immigrating here, essentially. And I remember being the only one who felt that way in that class. And I remember being I remember being in a room with people who were only there to fulfill the requirement. And so essentially, I was taking a class about my family history. They were just learning about these people that barely exist on this campus. And I just remember, like, that was such an isolating experience because the things I was learning were affecting me in a way that nobody else cared about. Nobody else was resonating with. And I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have other Latinos here who shared similar experiences, who were the only ones in their class, who were having to navigate these spaces and where they felt isolated. They felt like they just were not lining up with the values of the collective in the room. So I would say, I mean, it's extremely important in my opinion, especially if you're not used to being the only one in a predominantly white environment. It's really important to find community amongst people who share your culture in these predominantly white spaces, because communities are very, very resilient. And I think oftentimes, the people in those communities, they can lean on each other. And I found myself leaning on my peers, and I found them leaning on me as well. And so I think that is one of the best ways that we can survive in these spaces and ultimately learn how to thrive in these spaces is by uplifting one another.
100%. I think, yeah, finding community is one of the most important things that can help in one's success, right? As far as getting through college and really being able to find your family away from home, because many people, right, are coming from out of states or other cities, and it can sometimes be very, very lonely at times. But I think if you're able to find community, we're able to celebrate with them, break bread with them, talk about, uncomfortable situations like the ones that you weren't being the only one in the room. My too, right? I myself have also been the only Latino in the room at times, and it can definitely be an interesting experience to say the least. But Marcos, man, thank you so much for giving us a couple minutes of your day. I know you're very busy, being very involved and doing all these great things on campus and off campus. But it's been a pleasure really getting to know you a little bit better, and learning more about how you've navigated your experience as a student, as a Latino student at Butler University. You're going to graduate soon, class of 2022. So, congratulations again. I can't wait to see you graduate, man, and wishing you all the best. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Fabio. It's always a pleasure.
Of course, brother. Well, thank you all for listening and tuning in. Next month, we invite you to tune in again. We will be sharing new content, and we'll be sharing new content each month for the next few months. And next month, we will be going over how to navigate a career change. So if you're a young professional who's navigating a career change, please tune in, as we'll have a special Access professional participant give their perspective and give their journey. So tune in. No, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, the ILE's YouTube channel, and our Facebook page. So thank you all again, and have a good night, everyone.